A lot of people struggle with prioritization because the way they manage their priorities is that they actually don't. They just dump all of their tasks into a to-do list, sometimes on their phone, sometimes on their laptop, and then they measure their progress during the day based on the number of tasks that have been completed. But very few people actually go through the work of looking at this list and figuring out, if today I could only do one thing, what would that be? What tasks are more important than others? What are the quick wins, the things that I could do very quickly this morning and that would actually move the needle? People don't do that. They just go in order, task after task. And that's not managing your priorities. It's not because it's on your list that it's a priority. So I think this is definitely a big problem. The lack of priority management can cause lots of problems for people at work. The first, most obvious one is the impact it has on productivity. Because if you don't define your priorities, you can find yourself at the end of the day feeling like you've worked really hard today, but the important things haven't been done. And then you move all of these tasks back onto the next day, rinse and repeat. And you end up at the end of the week feeling like, yes, you worked for many hours, but you haven't moved the needle, you haven't done something that has contributed to actual progress towards your goals. So that's the first main problem. But the other one, beside productivity, is the impact it has on people's mental health. It creates this constant cycle of anxiety where our to-do lists keep on getting longer and longer. We feel like we have this endless stream of work, sometimes meaningless work, that keeps on piling up. And even when we try to close our laptop on Fridays and go and take a break during the weekend, we still have this dark cloud above us, which is our never-ending to-do list. So I think people would really benefit from managing their priorities better because they would both be more productive, but they also would have a better mental health. There are two simple methods that I really like in order to start managing your priorities better. The first one is called the Moscow method, just like the city in Russia, and it stands for must, should, could, and want. Must are the things that really need to get done today, as soon as possible. Very important, and if there's really only one thing that you must do that day, that's the one. Number one priority. Then if you have a little bit more time, should. Those are the things that would be important, that would actually contribute to your progress and bringing you closer to your goals. But it's fine. If you have to push it back to tomorrow, it's okay, not a big deal. Could are the things that are the cherry on the cake, the little icing, the things that are going to maybe make the product you're working on better, that maybe are going to make your life slightly easier. But it's really not a big deal if it doesn't happen at all. You should always start with must and then should. And only really if you had an incredibly productive day, still have time, still have energy, still feel like working, you can tackle a couple of your could ones. And want are the ones that you are not going to do. And that's something we forget sometimes with to-do lists. It's that not everything has to stay on there. Some of them you can just remove. There are things that you added in there because a colleague mentioned that maybe that would be a good idea. You wrote it down. Those are maybe ideas that you had when you were on a walk. You can look at them and move them onto an idea page or anything else that you can look at later on for inspiration, but these do not belong in your to-do list. Wants are all of the ones that you remove, and you can clean up your to-do list a little bit this way. So that's the first method. Incredibly easy, incredibly quick. You can do it in 5 minutes every morning when you look at your to-do list. The other one that I really like is called the Eisenhower Matrix of prioritization. Also super simple. It's a 4x4 matrix where you place your tasks based on whether they are important and urgent, important and non-urgent, non-important and urgent, or non-important and non-urgent. What's great about this matrix is that it's very actionable. Depending on where you put your tasks, you already know what you're going to do with it. If it's important and urgent, just do it. Right now, you take a bit of time, block it in your calendar, and just make it happen. Because it means this is something that's going to have an impact on the business, and that also needs to be done as soon as possible. If it's important and non-urgent, block time in your calendar for later that week. It means that you do need to get it done, but it doesn't have to be today. If it's non-important and urgent, it probably means that it needs to get done, but not by you. So in that case, a good thing to do is to delegate it to someone who can work on it while you focus on the important stuff. And if it's non-important and non-urgent, why is it on your to-do list? You should just remove it. It means that it doesn't even need to get done. And you can have the satisfying feeling of removing something from your list and making it a little bit shorter. Of course, I love frameworks, but I think it's also really important to take into account how you're feeling and your environment. So there are also 3 factors that I always try to take into account whenever I'm trying to manage my priorities. The first one is the environment. Where am I at the moment? If I'm at home with kids running around and making a lot of noise, I'm not going to work on the same tasks as if I was at a coffee shop or if I was in a co-working space. So I can decide to work on tasks that don't require a lot of focus, for example. Then I think about the time that I have. Same, you're not going to work on the same tasks if you only have half an hour in front of you and where you can block that and do something quick, maybe a few emails, or if you have 2 hours of luxurious time to yourself to work on something creative, then maybe you'll try to tackle something a little bit more ambitious. And finally, your energy levels. How are you feeling? You are also not going to work on the same things if you're feeling really tired, you didn't have a good night of sleep, whether compared to if you're feeling like full of energy and very creative. And again, that may be a good time to block to work on something a little bit more creative.